Good morning to every soul listening today. Let me ask you a question. What if your mornings were more than just a routine? What if your mornings became the revolution that redefined your entire life? They say, win your morning and you'll win your day. But I say, win your morning and you will win your mind, your soul, and your mission. You see, there was a time in my life when waking up felt like a burden. I opened my eyes and all I saw was what was taken away from me. My movement, my dreams, my future. Until one day, I changed the question. I stopped asking, why me, and started asking, what now? That one shift, from grievance to gratitude, transformed my mornings from misery to miracles. Let me remind you of something. You are the author of your story, and every single morning is a blank page. The pen is not in someone else's hand, it's in yours. So when you open your eyes each day, don't just wake up, rise with purpose, rise with resilience, rise with a reason that is bigger than your excuses. Because your life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change. And that change starts with how you greet your mornings. Keynotes 1. Own your mornings, own your life. The way you begin your morning sets the tone for your entire day and ultimately your life. Let quote us talk about mornings, not just as the start of your day, but as the foundation of your mindset. You see, most people wake up and immediately surrender to chaos. The alarm goes off, and the first instinct is to check messages, scroll through notifications, drown in the noise of the world before even listening to the voice within. And then we wonder why we feel overwhelmed before the sun has fully risen. But what if I told you that the first 10 minutes of your day have the power to shape the next 10 hours of your life? The truth is simple but profound. Own your mornings, and you will own your life. The way you begin your day is not just about productivity, it's about purpose. It's not just about getting things done, it's about remembering who you are and why you matter. When you start your morning with clarity, with gratitude, with direction, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating your world. I remember lying in a hospital bed, paralyzed, dependent on others, even to sit up straight. My mornings were filled with silence, with pain, with the constant reminder of all I had lost. But even in that darkness, I had a choice to begin my day with bitterness or to begin it with belief. And let me tell you, that choice made all the difference. I began to create morning rituals, however small, saying thanks, repeating affirmations, envisioning not what I had lost, but what I could still become. I didn't have control over my body, but I could still claim ownership over my mindset. And that's what I want to share with you. Your morning is your most personal, sacred time. Before the world gets a piece of you, make sure you've given something to yourself. Whether it's 5 minutes of silence, writing in a journal, moving your body, breathing with intention, what matters is not how perfect it looks, but how consistent it becomes. Many of us wait for motivation to strike, but let me tell you something important. You don't need motivation to begin, you need discipline to choose. Every morning is an invitation to break cycles, to build better habits, to speak life into your day. And the most successful, most grounded people in the world, those who lead with heart, not ego, are not those who had perfect mornings, but those who treated their mornings as non-negotiable. You see, winning your morning isn't about achieving, it's about aligning with your values, your energy, your why, because when you anchor your day in that, no external storm can shake you. This isn't just advice, this is an offering, a reminder that you don't have to wait for your life to change. You can begin changing it tomorrow morning, not through grand gestures, but through consistent, intentional action. It's not the loudest start that matters, it's the most honest one. So tomorrow, when your eyes open, pause, don't rush. Breathe, speak something kind to yourself, plant a seed of intention, and then go live a day that reflects the power of that beginning. Because when you learn to win your mornings, you begin to win your peace, your purpose, and ultimately, your life. 2. Gratitude over grievance. Instead of focusing on what's missing, start your day by being grateful for what you still have. You know, we live in a world where we're constantly reminded of what we lack. We wake up and the first thing many of us do is check our phones, not for purpose, not for peace, but for comparison. And that comparison quietly whispers, you are not enough. You scroll through perfect bodies, perfect jobs, perfect families, perfect smiles, and suddenly, your own life feels smaller. Your achievements feel ordinary. Your mornings feel heavy. But the problem isn't your life, it's your lens. I want to tell you something today. You cannot build a beautiful life while focusing on what's broken. You cannot win your morning while grieving what you don't have. We've been conditioned to believe that gratitude is passive, that it's just saying thank you with a smile. No, gratitude is not weak. It is a warrior's mindset. It is a decision. It is discipline. It is the ability to wake up every single day and say, yes, I may not have everything, but I am still here. I still have something to give. There was a time in my own life when I thought I had lost everything. I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. And at one point, I even believed I couldn't live. But you know what changed me? Not medicine, not miracles. It was gratitude. Not the surface level kind, but the kind that wakes you up from inside. The kind that makes you look at your scars and say, this pain taught me something. The kind that makes you see the smallest of blessings, the breath in your lungs, the beat in your heart, as enough to begin again. And that's the secret. That's what people miss. Gratitude isn't about ignoring your pain. It's about refusing to let pain own you. It's saying, yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've lost, but I am still here. And while I am here, I will choose to see the good that remains. Because here's the truth. What you focus on grows. If you wake up each morning counting problems, you will live a life of complaint. But if you wake up counting blessings, even just one, you train your mind to find beauty in the ordinary. You reclaim power over your perspective. And I want you to try something. Tomorrow morning, before the chaos of the world invades your mind, sit still, just for 60 seconds. Ask yourself, what do I still have? Not what you've lost, not what others have, but what is still mine. You'll be surprised. You still have your voice. You still have your story. You still have the power to create, to influence, to heal, to rise. And if you can find just one thing to be grateful for, that's enough to shift your entire day. Gratitude is not something you feel only when life is good. It is the anchor that holds you steady when life is anything but. So no matter how dark the morning may seem, search for that one light. It's there. It always is. And if you can train your heart to see it, then you have already won your morning, because you've chosen to start it with strength, not sorrow. Gratitude won't erase your pain, but it will remind you that your life is still worth showing up for, and that is enough. 3. Purpose is more powerful than pain. Don't let the limitations of your body or environment limit the vision of your soul. That they say, pain changes people, and that's true. But here's what they often forget. Purpose transforms them. There's a point in every person's life when they are confronted with the question, why me? When life feels too heavy, the path too broken, and the body too weak, we look up or within, searching for answers. I've been there. And if you're honest with yourself, so have you. But let me share with you what I've learned. The most powerful response to pain is not pity, it is purpose. You see, pain can paralyze the body, but it cannot imprison the soul unless you give it permission. And most of the time, it's not the pain that breaks us. It's the belief that the pain has no meaning. When I was told I would never walk again, that my life would be confined to a wheelchair, it wasn't just my spine that broke. It was my sense of control, my plans, my vision for the future, my identity, shattered in a single moment. And yet here I am, not because I found a cure, but because I found a cause. Purpose became my medicine. It gave meaning to my suffering. It became the voice that said, you may not be able to walk, but you can still move people. That voice wasn't loud at first. In fact, it was barely a whisper. But the more I listened, the stronger it became. And eventually, I understood something. You are not what happens to you. You are what you do with what happens to you. Pain will visit you, but purpose is a choice, a calling, a decision to turn wounds into wisdom and trials into testimony. Don't let your environment define your energy. Don't let your diagnosis define your destiny. Don't let your limitations limit your light, because the soul was never meant to be measured by the state of the body. The soul is vast. it is visionary, and when it finds a purpose, it becomes unstoppable, even when the body cannot move. Sometimes, life will put you in a place where everything feels out of your control, but your purpose, that remains yours, always. So ask yourself, not why you're in pain, but what that pain is trying to reveal. What message is buried beneath the discomfort? What mission is waiting to be born through your struggle? Some of the greatest voices, the boldest movements, the most life-changing work in this world have come from people who were told they were too broken, too late, too small, too far gone, but they refused to listen because their vision was bigger than their reality. And maybe that's you. Maybe you're sitting there today, feeling like your world has shrunk, like your options are limited, like everything you planned has fallen apart. If that's you, then let me tell you, you don't need the world to give you permission to live fully. You only need a reason, and that reason is already inside you. Purpose does not erase pain, but it gives you a reason to carry it with grace, to walk or roll through it with power. So don't wait to feel strong before you stand in your purpose. Do it now. Do it afraid. Do it imperfectly, but just do it, because someone, somewhere, is waiting for your story to set them free. And if you remember nothing else, remember this: pain may shape you, but purpose will define you. You are the hero of your story. Stop waiting to be rescued. Get up and be the author of your own comeback. Certainly, here's a powerful, heartfelt expansion of Keynote 4. You are the hero of your story, inspired by the tone, clarity, and emotional. You know, we often wait. We wait for the perfect moment. We wait for someone to believe in us. We wait for life to go back to normal. We wait to be rescued. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. There's no magical rescue team. No moment of sudden clarity, delivered by the universe, wrapped in golden light. That's a myth. What's real is you, your choice, your will, your voice. There was a time when I kept waiting for someone to understand my pain, waiting for life to return to the way it was. But the more I waited, the more I gave away my power, until I realized this story I was living, it wasn't anyone else's to write, it was mine. You are the hero of your story, and heroes aren't born in comfort. They're born in chaos. They don't emerge from ease. They emerge from endurance. You are not here to play a side character in your own life. You are not here to be someone else's echo. You are not here to just survive. You are here to shape, to shift, to lead your life from the front. And yes, I know, it's tempting to believe that if someone just reached out, things would change. But let me ask you something. What if that someone is you? What if the savior you're waiting for is the person you see in the mirror every morning? Because real strength isn't waiting for life to give you permission. It's standing up, even if you're shaking. It's moving forward, even when everything in you wants to sit in the dark. It's telling yourself, this story is not over. I'm still writing. When I was told I might never walk again, I had two choices: to remain in the chapter where life broke me, or to turn the page and begin again. I chose to write a new chapter, not because I had all the answers, but because I was no longer willing to surrender my life to fear. You may not be able to change your past, but you absolutely can shape what comes next. And you do that by taking ownership, not just of your success, but also of your struggle. We love the idea of transformation, but we forget, heroes don't rise without resistance. Their courage is forged in fire. Their power is born not in perfection, but in persistence. So today, I want you to stop waiting for the world to validate your worth. Stop waiting for someone to fix what you already have the strength to rebuild. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not powerless. You are in progress. And your story, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Write it with intention. Live it with courage. Rewrite it when necessary. But whatever you do, don't hand over the pen. Don't let your fears, your failures, or the voices of others become the authors of your future. Because you, my friend, are the hero. And this chapter, this very moment, could be the beginning of your greatest comeback. 5. Fall, but fall forward. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a stepping stone. What matters is what you do next. Imagine standing at the edge of something new, excited, hopeful, ready, and then suddenly, life knocks you off your feet. You fall hard, and everything inside you wants to stay down. You question your worth, your choices, and perhaps even your purpose. Let me tell you this, you will fall. I have fallen, Everyone you admire has fallen. But what separates those who rise is not the absence of failure, it's what they choose to do next. We have been taught to fear failure, as if it's a sign of weakness. But failure is not the end of the road. In fact, it is often the very beginning of transformation. You see, failure isn't the opposite of success. It is the stepping stone to it. Every time you fall, you are being offered a decision to either surrender to the fall or to fall forward, to learn, to adapt, and to keep going with more wisdom than you had before. I remember lying in a hospital bed, paralyzed from the waist down, told I would never walk again. That wasn't just a physical fall. That was a fall of identity, of dreams, of everything I thought my life would be. But here's what I learned. When you lose everything you thought defined you, you begin to discover what actually does. My failure didn't end me. It revealed me. It stripped away the noise and introduced me to the core of who I really am. You don't need to fear the fall. You need to fear staying down. The greatest minds, the strongest hearts, the most inspiring lives, none of them were built in comfort. They were shaped in the furnace of failure. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset that wins. Not because it's immune to setbacks, but because it's committed to growth. When you fall, fall forward. That means falling with the intent to rise. Falling with the awareness that even in the dust, there is dignity. That your setbacks are not signs of defeat, but invitations to evolve. Do you know what's more painful than falling? Regret. The regret of not trying. The regret of staying small. The regret of letting fear dictate your life instead of faith. The people who make a difference in the world are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail visibly, publicly, even painfully, but still keep moving. And don't let anyone fool you with curated perfection. Real life is messy. Growth is messy. Healing is messy. You will fall, but you will also rise. Not despite the fall, but because of it. So the next time life pushes you to your knees, remember, maybe that's exactly where your strength is found. Maybe that's where you reconnect with humility, with humanity, and with hope. Use the ground not as a grave, but as a foundation. Push off of it, rise again, and walk forward, not as someone who never fell, but as someone who refused to stay down. Because in the end, it's not how many times you fall that defines you. It's how many times you choose to rise. And that, my friend, is how you win your morning. Let that be your legacy. 6. Inspire. Don't just exist. Your struggle can become someone else's survival guide. So wake up and live with intention. You see, far too many people wake up each morning simply to exist. They follow the motions, check the boxes, fulfill obligations, but they do not live. They do not lead lives that inspire. And I believe that's not because they lack the ability, but because they have forgotten their power. Every one of us has a story, not a perfect story, not a fairy tale, but a human one. One filled with cracks, scars, disappointments, heartbreaks, and setbacks. And yet, in all of that, there is beauty, there is wisdom, there is light. The tragedy is not in having gone through pain. The real tragedy is in wasting it. You didn't endure all that you did just to survive. You went through what you did so that someone else, watching you now, listening to you now, struggling in silence, might believe in the possibility of their own healing. Your journey is not just yours. It's a lantern for those still lost in the dark. I've always said, if you can turn your wounds into wisdom, then your life becomes a masterpiece. Not because it is flawless, but because it is true. And truth moves people. Not polished words, not perfect lives, but truth, and the courage to stand in it. Inspire. Don't just exist. Don't aim to be liked. Aim to be remembered. Not for your achievements, but for your authenticity, for how you made people feel less alone, for how your presence gave others permission to be themselves. That is how we create meaning in our lives, by lifting others through our own becoming. There's a myth we carry that to inspire, we must be extraordinary, that we must have climbed mountains, overcome the impossible, or changed the world. But let me tell you something, sometimes, simply getting out of bed, with hope in your heart, is an act of rebellion. Sometimes, choosing joy, despite grief, is revolutionary. Sometimes, showing up with kindness in a cruel world, is the most powerful inspiration of all. So if you're waiting to be ready, or to feel enough, before you start living with impact, I want you to stop right now. You are already enough. Right here, right now. You have already survived more than you thought you could. And someone out there needs to see that strength. Not the version of you who has it all figured out, but the one who keeps going anyway. Wake up and live with intention. Every morning, ask yourself, what do I want my life to say when I'm gone? What message does my existence send to those around me? Because whether you realize it or not, you are always teaching, always impacting. The only question is, what are you teaching people by the way you live? Don't just breathe, become. Don't just wake up, shine. And don't just exist, inspire. Because the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs real ones. It needs you. So the next time you open your eyes to a new morning, don't just begin a new day. Begin a new legacy. And remember, you didn't survive to stay silent. You survived to light the way for someone else. Now go, be the reason someone else doesn't give up. Story, and feel your light. You don't need perfect conditions to create a powerful morning. All you need is the decision to not let the world decide your worth. Muniba Mazari once said, you are the hero of your own life story, and heroes don't give up. So today, I challenge you, win your morning. Wake up with intention, live with impact, because when you rise, others will rise with you. Thank you.